explain a little bit about Project 2 and have it be recorded so people can go back and watch it.
Okay.
So you guys get the live version and get to ask questions. Okay, so I just, since this project is due tomorrow, we should start thinking about Project 3. So you will see, hopefully, if you want to check right now, hopefully you'll be able to see in the assignments area, you should now have access to Project 2. And it's called Website Redesign.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, can you see it okay? Can you guys get to Project 2?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Click on assignments in Canvas. What about you, Darren? Can you get to it?
Yeah, I'm going up to it right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Like 6 million videos out there.
All right. So your assignment is to propose a redesign of an existing website based on your assessment of its effectiveness. So your objectives are to produce user scenarios, to restructure a site's information architecture using card sorting and reverse sorting techniques. Probably have no idea what that is, but that's okay. Complete a competitive analysis, create wireframes to better lay out the site pages based on your findings. So your final deliverable, which will all be in the form of one big old PDF file, is you'll write a website objective statement. So what's the objective of this website? Then you'll create some user scenarios, 3 different ones doing 3 different tasks. You'll diagram the existing information architecture. Then you'll do a card sort and reverse sort and create a report and a summary of that. And then you'll create the revised information architecture, visually indicating what has changed. And then you'll create a wireframe of the home page indicating what you would change based on all of your findings. So for the very first part, you're going to choose your website, define the objective, and diagram the existing information architecture, and create the user scenarios document, and have one PDF. Well, this is just going to be a PDF that you keep adding to. Then you'll complete the card sort. You'll integrate a table communicating the outcome of your card sort into your master PDF document, and then continue to revise the previous work you've done. Then you will complete part 5, I don't know what that means, and make any revisions to the work submitted. So you'll develop the revised information architecture and test with a reverse sort and summarize your changes. I know this sounds really confusing, but once I have some examples. Complete part 6 and make any revisions to the previous work submitted. So part 6 would just be, I should have numbered these, wireframes of the homepage. So let's go a little bit into more detail. The first part is you choose a website and define its objective. So you want to make sure you choose something that's going to work for this project. Begin by choosing a website that is comprised of at least 25 pages and fewer than 100 pages. This website should not be an e-commerce site, or its primary function should not be e-commerce, since the e-commerce process is fairly prescribed. You know, I mean, an e-commerce site, you have a database of products which you can sort and filter in different ways, and then you have a cart and you have a checkout. And so, I mean, that's not the best example. We're looking at I want you to look at a site that's more informational in nature. Then you're going to diagram the current information architecture. Explore the structure of the site. Diagram the entire site in the form of a flowchart. Start by sketching the structure of the site and then formalize your diagram using a graphics or flowcharting program. Part 3, develop 3 user personas. Who are representative users for this website? Define 3 different types of users and describe 3 different tasks they would want to accomplish. How would they go about accomplishing these tasks? Use this example as a model for how you represent this information. I have a feeling that this is a broken link, but that's okay because we now have some good examples from our own student work here. So let me just see I should take it out if it's a broken link. It is a broken link. Okay, I'll take it out. But I have other examples to show you. Just give me a second. Step 4, perform a card sort and analyze the data. Using the lynda.com course as a reference, perform a card sort. You should come up with 25 tasks for your sort and have at least 15 people perform the sort. Record all your results and present them in a table. From your card sort, you will develop a revised information architecture for your site in question. So you're probably wondering what a card sort is. And really the best way to explain this and see it in action is to watch this 1-hour video on lynda.com. At some point, I think I give you, yep, here is, somewhere, maybe I have to add this in. I tell you exactly what lynda.com, maybe that's in the discussions, but somewhere around in here, and I have to find it, I will tell you exactly where to go on lynda.com to watch this specific video. But quickly, a card sort is when you have all of this information. You've got a big website. So for example, one of the examples I'll show you, the Fox Theater, a student did a while ago. And what she did is, in a card sort, you write down all of these tasks, or all of these, bits of information, and you ask representative users to tell you where they would go to find it. So you do this, and you don't actually have to do it in person. There are resources you can use. There are web-based resources you can use where you set up the whole experiment on a website, and then you just send it to 15 people and have them do it for you. And you collect your data all in this website, and then you pull that data down and put it into your PDF document. But after I've done this project now twice, this will be the third time, and it's really amazing what has come out of this. And I'll show you some of the examples. So exactly the details of how to do this, a card sort, again, that's in the lynda.com course I'll send you to. And it's so clear that there was no reason for me to recreate that lesson. It's just so clear on lynda.com. The reverse sort is the next step. A reverse sort is you do the card sort, and based on the results of the card sort, you design your information architecture. And then the reverse sort is to test what you've created. So it's kind of like a backwards card sort, which is why it's called a reverse sort. And then based on the information that you get from this whole process, you're going to look at just what they've chosen to display on their homepage and how it is displayed on the homepage. And you're going to just do a simple wireframe diagram indicating what you would change about the homepage to help the site better achieve its objectives. Okay. So it's you're not going to do any final designs for this particular project, but you are going to do this really intense analysis of a site. So here's some resources again. Bad link. Sorry, I should have double checked this. This is a link to different programs to use for wireframes. But let's just take a look at some student projects because I think this will give you a better idea of what is expected. So this is Olivia did the Missouri History Museum. There's her objective. She kind of made the site architecture just in text. And then she created, I don't know why she didn't. So these are her user scenarios. So she's got one student. Josh is a college student at Webster. He's doing this, this, this. So he has these 3 different tasks he's trying to do. And you think about this person, what his perspective is, and what he might be trying to do. And what you learn from these user scenarios is that some tasks are very difficult to do and some tasks are really easy. Like maybe you find that things are just not that obvious. So this piece of this analysis too, this user scenario analysis, helps you better understand the weaknesses and the strengths of the architecture. So now this is the current site architecture. And this is the revised.
So I'm not seeing anything. Am I supposed to be seeing something?
Shit. Sorry, I didn't share my screen. Darren, why didn't you tell me?
Well,
oh, hey, Nick.
So.
Hi.
Okay. So I was trying to show you a student example. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so now you should be able to see the student example.
Mhm.
Got it? So here's our objective. This part right here was not necessary because this is just a text-based flow chart right here. It's just sort of the site architecture in text form. And then she does her user scenarios, or 3 different user scenarios. This is her initial site architecture, and this is the revised site architecture. I'm not seeing huge difference at this scale, but like, for example, I can see that they have a new section called Plan a Visit, which wasn't there before. I think some of that information was buried. Oh no, here it is over here. So she could have probably done a better job of indicating what had changed on this new site architecture. This table right here is the result of her card sort. So you can see that she came up with these 20 questions or so. I can't remember how many questions I tell you to come up with. And then her users, and then she created all of these different, the users actually provide these names of these categories. They say, I would expect to find the answer to this question here. And so this is the result. So for example, if we zoom in here, we can see the first question is, check out books from the library and research from the Missouri History Museum. Some people thought it would be under things I need to, I don't know what that is. Some people thought it would be found under additional information. Some people thought it would be found under about us. But there's a big discrepancy. Now in the dark blue areas, where is the museum? Everybody thought it would be under about us. Well, some people thought other areas too, under get involved. So the dark blue means that there seems to be some consensus there, where how much does it cost to visit? Most people thought it would be under about us. Some people said FAQ. So that's the result of her card sort right there. And by the way, you notice how this PDF is all different size pages? Yeah, you want to avoid that. If you use InDesign to bring all of your graphics and media in, then you won't have this problem. And it's a little bit tricky because flowcharts naturally tend to be kind of wide. So you might need to split it into a couple of pages or something like that to be creative about how you lay it out. Okay, so this is the result of her reverse sort. And then she talks about some of her findings. And then this is the final, and again, this is not perfect. We don't really know how she's using this space down here. So I don't think this is the best wireframe ever. Mm-hmm. But you get an idea of what all the sections are right there. So let's take a look at another one. So the objective, she has the initial flowchart, and you can see that this flowchart seems to be pretty unbalanced. This is the initial architecture. So there are a lot of pages under certain categories and no pages under other categories. So these are the user scenarios. Her card sort results. She talks about what the questions were. Some of her results from her card sort. The reverse sort. And this data comes from the program that you can use online. Now you can do a card sort with like literally physical cards, but then you actually have to be face-to-face with all of your testers. And the nice thing about doing it online is that they produce all of these graphs and diagrams for you that you can bring into your report. And this is her revised site map. And you can see that a lot has changed based on this analysis. So actually asking users where they would expect to find things really informs your architecture. And again, the wireframe, they sort of missed the boat on the wireframe because this is basically doesn't really tell us much about the new look and feel, I mean, the new layout of the homepage. However, you know, like for example, if you found that hours, fees, all of that stuff about the museum, that seems like it would be naturally on the home page. And so in my wireframe, I would probably indicate where that would be displayed on the home page of the website. So we'll just take a look at one more. Here's the objective. Here are the user scenarios. And you've seen a lot of consistency.
Mhm.
So it should make a little bit more sense to you now. The existing information architecture, card sort results, reverse sort results, and the revised information architecture. The card sort and reverse sort reveal that there needed to be several options for users to find what they're looking for. The new information architecture now expresses this idea. As seen as above, the navigation now offers users the ability to find the answers to their questions under several categories.
Did she make an appointment with them to discuss this?
No. So this is actually a really great wireframe because she's laid it over the old one
Mhm.
to indicate what would change. You know, bringing these social media feeds right up front and reallocating the space based on what she thought was important, based on her analysis. So I would say that was the best. This is the best wireframe of any of the examples. So I know I owe you guys, I need to clean up my links here, and I know I owe you guys that link to the lynda.com website. And I'm wondering if maybe it's under the discussions area. It might be week 7-8 discussion. Oh, no, I don't know where I put that link, but I owe that to you. So I will get that to you right away. But your first task is to find the website that you're looking for anyway. One more thing, I'll change the so I'll update you guys on that. But I thought just to get you used to the idea, there is a class at SWIC, Southwest Illinois College, that is doing, they are building websites for clients. And they have one client whose navigation is a total mess. So I thought as a class, I could set up the card sort and the reverse sort and then send out the link and have you guys all be the testers.
Okay.
And then as a class, then we kind of look at it and we can make a proposed information architecture, proposed site structure. But at least you guys would get a feel for this website having been a tester, and you get it, and then you set up your own. And you're probably wondering what this website is, and I can't remember. But I will let you know for sure, so you know how to do this. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So
More, more education on it. Yeah.
right. So your first step is to just find the website, find an objective. And before you start diagramming the site architecture, you may want to run it by me. Say, like, do you think this will be a good subject for my project too? But a good guideline is between 25 to 100 pages. Okay. And where the primary objective is not to sell something, because like, Amazon.com, and first of all, that's too big and it's all just showing you products. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So should we look at your project ones? Darren, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I redid my whole project and just scrapped it. Oh shit. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah. It's basically what I came up with. Let's try to make it simple.
So what do you guys think?
What does hangry mean?
That's hungry and angry.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
So on my screen, it keeps popping from people to people.
You just have to select it at the bottom, the person
okay.
who's you want to. So select Darren so that you.
Okay.
I like this. I like your digital diary down at the bottom. Can you move it up a little bit on your screen so we can see it?
Like right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I just try to find the one I was doing before was shit, so I just scrapped it. And
So
I just try to find a color scheme that works, I guess. I don't know. So, and then I just slapped on a simple background. So, trying to make it simple.
yeah, I think that I would move your dot graph up to the top and then put your 3 other ones below it and align them so that they're more like they kind of they feel sort of arbitrarily placed right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that you have, if you can make the space, I think you could give us more information.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of something else in the middle or something like something else like definitely needs to be.
But yeah, I mean, just work on your alignment a little bit. And I think that you could say something about what do we conclude? I mean, Darren's digital diary is pretty generic of a title. There's probably more character that has come out of it. The fact that 10% of your communication, you're either you're hangry. That's pretty funny. I mean, there might be, I think that there might be something more to say about your data than just, this is my digital diary, you know? 10% hangry, Darren, or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. But I would definitely move your scatter plot up and align these, so that they feel like they're anchored. You might be able to do like
I understand what you're saying.
6 graphs or something at the bottom. But I think, like take this up, this, and then another row of information or something like that.
Okay.
You don't really talk about who you're communicating with.
Yeah, I don't know really. Like I tried to do that in the first one, and it just kind of like I don't know really. It's too many people, and just kind of like spreading out, and just so I don't know.
Well, you could consolidate the data. I mean, perhaps that you talk to your girlfriend more than everybody else combined. Maybe that's what you found, and so then it could be a 2-line bar graph. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just trying to make it like I was kind of getting too complicated with the first one. I just want to make something simple design, and just kind of go with it. So.
Well, I think that it's very understandable. I think you could give us a little bit more information.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to what you had before, and maybe you can pull some of that into this right here. But think about think about your layout a little bit as well.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want me to move over, Nick? Are you showing anything?
Yeah, I got something to show. It's mostly just it's still kind of just a framework at the moment, if that's okay.
Yeah. So go ahead and share the screen.
I don't think I'm screen sharing anymore.
There we go.
So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use that pie graph tool to like show the percentages spent on. These were the 6 main people or like destinations or mediums I use for communication.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I'm gonna use the pie graph tool to like show the percentages. And I was originally gonna make these like clocks.
Mm-hmm.
to show like what times I was using, but then I remembered that analog clocks only do 12 hours, and there are 24 hours in a day.
You like dominoes?
It's easy and it's there, dude. And also like it's not that clear on here, but like it would also include like jets.
Well, Nick, this layout, you have what I'm seeing is a screen divided into 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
And when it seems like you're giving four similar charts, they have the same visual weight. And what you're not doing as a designer is kind of telling us what's most important, and then here is some additional information.
Oh yeah, that's right. I actually have like space here because like I haven't actually put the labels on yet.
Okay.
But I was gonna do that. But yeah, I am still trying to figure out like how I'm gonna put in the information about like the time and the subject.
Okay. All right. Well, what I was just trying to say is that like when you are showing 4 different things in 4 different quadrants that are equally weighed, the viewer's eyes just tends to jump from one thing to the next. We don't know what's the most important. So you have to present a visual hierarchy to your viewer.
Okay.
Hey, this is kind of the overview. This is the most important information, and here are some additional bits of information to support, the overall view of the situation. So that's kind of why I was suggesting to Darren, I think that scatter plot gives you a good overview of the communication, and then we see more details with his graphs below.
Okay.
So it's a little hard to comment on because you're not giving us a whole lot here to comment on, so there's not much to say.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
So
Like what I was thinking of doing, I guess in response to that is once I have the data on here, I would basically just save this all as like a symbol and then use some of the skew tools to like make the quadrant that I spent the most time in the biggest. Would that help at all with the visual hierarchy?
Well, it's really hard to say. I can't totally picture what you're talking about, but right now I just see equally divided space in 4 areas, and I don't. That's what I'm responding to. But I do think this whole with the way you have these little heads cropped out is kind of funny and quirky. I like it. I mean, it's starting. I'm starting to see a little bit of a character emerge.
I kind of wish the one guy didn't have a chopped off head, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was nothing I could do about that.
It's called Photoshop.
Yeah, or ask for another photo.
No,
Yeah.
I used Photoshop to actually get those heads out, but like the top of the guy's head was cut off by the picture originally.
Right, I know. You add a little bit more canvas and paint some hair in there.
Or we're assuming you are actually friends, and perhaps you could say, "Hey, can I have your picture?"
Oh yeah, that's what I did with this guy. But this person lives in Connecticut, and I didn't want to bother him.
Oh, wow.
Well, you could fake it in Photoshop. I could give that guy a top of his head, no problem. But so you just need to add a little bit of canvas and then take some of the existing hair and use your clone tool and give him a top of his head. You're going to be displaying his face so small that we won't even notice that you've cheated it.
Okay.
And also be sure to scale them similarly. Like, why is his face about twice as fat as the other guy's face?
Because the other guy has a hat on. And
So what? I mean, I think
ended up taking up the same amount of space.
Okay, well, I think that the faces should be similarly sized.
To me, they look similarly sized, but if they're not similarly sized, then they're not similarly sized.
What do you think? Do they look similarly sized to you?
No. So look at. Don't use the guy's hat. Ignore the hat.
Just
and
focus
then
on the
keep in mind
face.
that you've got a cutoff head from the other, so you cannot use their literal sizes to compare with one another at this stage. So fix the other guy on top of his head, and then ignore the hat, and then look at noses, mouths, and eyes, and then you'll be able to understand better how they would match.
Okay.
Nick, you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of work to do in a lot of my classes. Like there have been retreats every weekend and it's been awful.
All right. Well, keep on moving. You know the due date's tomorrow night, but you know
I do.
if you want to keep getting feedback on this, you can keep evolving this throughout the semester. Okay, I'm going to jump over to Pamela. Mm-hmm.
So on the bottom here is going to be a bar graph that better represents the percentages of time I spent talking to each of these people.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a line, and there's a color code to these. And there'll be a, where these connections between people are sort of wave sweeping lines. These lines will be more straight, and they'll go pretty, directly, and maybe they'll even be slightly thicker. And then within each of these, there'll be a representation of the topics we talked about. So they'll be based on percentages. Red was the one who talked to the most, so his bar will be large. And then probably my daughter, and then from there they were littler. But then, so there'll be topics somewhere up here, percentages, and that will represent the topics.
What do you guys think?
Pretty intricate. I like the watercolor background or whatever. It looks kind of ancient. I don't know. It's cool though.
I don't see that much data.
No. And that is our professor's fault.
Me? Why is that?
Because you started telling me it should be more about the characters and the connection between the characters, and so no, there isn't a lot of data. There's a lot of representation of these characters I've got, and then the data will be in this bar graph on the bottom.
I think this is really cool. I'm seeing it on the screen, and I feel like the green in the background, maybe I would tone it down just a touch, because I feel like it's competing with your lines and we can't see them all that well. And it's also competing with this very muted color scheme you've come up with for your people, you know? So it feels very cohesive in terms of the balance of colors. And we are learning one bit of information. We are learning the relationship and the people you talk to and something about their personalities. And then you're going to talk about the percentage of what you're going to talk, but I think in your graphing mechanism at the bottom, if each one of these blocks represent the different people, and I don't know if I would make that connection between, I don't know if you need to put them on the bottom. What if you put these blocks with, I'm not associating, I get it now. I see that pink is around Tess and pink is down here.
Mm-hmm.
But could you move these blocks? You've got plenty of space next to the character too.
Okay.
And you could say, we overall percentage of how much you talk to them. You might indicate an icon with the tools you use to communicate with them. And then somehow, maybe your connection strings, somehow they, there's some kind of rendering that shows maybe the tension or something with the communication between these people. I'm just trying to see how we can integrate more information with this really cool and artistic layout. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're gonna have to go, because it's like, you know what you mean, but I don't know what you mean.
Right.
So as far as like, okay, so I can put the block.
If you put the block next to each of the people, and I would maybe make the rims around the people just a hair thicker, so that we can really see that color association.
Mm-hmm.
So pink is standing out a lot more than any of them to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that we see the color association. So let's say the pink block is under Tess or above Tess,
Mm-hmm.
and we see 15% of communication inside of that block right there.
Okay.
And then maybe the size of the blocks represent, maybe one is wider than the other, so we can immediately see, oh, most of the communication was Brad because his block is longer than the other one. So they're proportionally, the proportion of the block represents how much you
Okay.
talk to them.
All right.
Now then, if you moved a copy of the block up to each one of these people, if you wanted to add more detailed information about purple, my community, maybe you have like a dot representing each amount of communication at the bottom. If you put these blocks up next to the character and then you repeated them at the bottom, we would understand that connection. That if you wanted to add more information, we would understand that pink is Tess. I see that that's 15% of the communication. And then down here below, maybe you had a bar graph that showed something about the mode of communication. What were you talking about, or what method were you using? Now, if you wanted to communicate emotional level, or how you felt when you were, or you might render the connections slightly differently. Like, for example, maybe it's a loose, wiggly line to you and Tess because your communication was really easy. But maybe with Kenny, it was very stressful. So maybe that line is very taut between those two. Do you know what I mean?
No, so I don't understand what you're saying. So are you asking me to change the current lines?
Well, I'm just throwing out different ideas of ways that you can show a little bit more information. You've collected a lot of information, right? And how can you show more of this in this particular visualization?
Mhm.
So the lines seem somewhat arbitrary between, they're artistic, but they seem somewhat arbitrary. Are each one of the lines different instances of communication?
No, it's just the connection between people.
Right.
If you're going to ask me to redo all this, then I'll do it, but it's not happening by tomorrow night at midnight.
No, wait, Dad, Mother, Grandpa, Uncle, Mr. Erickson. Oh, you're explaining the relationship between these people to the, okay, I get what the lines mean now. I thought they were just arbitrarily drawn in there.
No.
So you have the people you communicated with, the relationship among all of these different people.
Mhm.
I think you can easily add in the percentage of how much you communicated, and I would maybe move the bars up to the people so that we understand. And then if you wanted to add something below, like what tools you use to communicate with each person, you could put that down below and we would understand a lot better what these bars meant. And I'm not sure how you would render that in terms of, let's say you mostly text messaged with your daughter, but you had more phone conversations with your dad. You might have these bars, like purple meaning your dad, and you could have like little lines that say 100% phone conversation, whereas other people were 10% texting. You know what I mean? So don't redo any of the lines. The lines are beautiful and they actually mean something. I didn't totally get that at first. But in order to add some of this data to it, I would move the blocks up and talk about, so we quickly got a glance of who you communicated with the most based on the size of the block. And then the mode of communication, if you could add that at the bottom, you could use the blocks to help us as we would make that connection. So we would understand that any information that you want to give us about your dad, communicating with your dad, that is represented by purple at the bottom. I can draw it out with you if you need some help, but what you've done is absolutely beautiful. So don't redo that by any means. I'm just trying to get more information. You have collected a lot of data. How do we layer that on top of this presentation? And I think you might be able to get yourself a little bit more space at the bottom. You have a little bit of extra. You can move everything up a little bit next to.
You'll have to teach me how to do that because every time I do
Mm-hmm.
My backgrounds, so there are two backgrounds. There's a color and then there's a texture.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I try to capture everything,
Mm-hmm.
I just move the whole background.
Oh,
so
you can't lock it? Lock the layer?
That I need to separate the background layer from everything else.
Okay, I can show you that. No big deal. But I think it's really cool. I mean, your illustrations are amazing. They're really nice. Yeah, I mean, remember that the objective, in addition to making it beautiful, is not your problem. You've done that. I'm just thinking, how do we add a level of information to this so it's more informative? Do you guys have any questions about anything?
No.
Well, I owe you all a follow-up with project 2. So I will make sure I do that. So you'll see an announcement from me hopefully later today. But you've got plenty to do to finish this project up and get started with the next one before we have our next meeting. And you're always welcome to join the Friday critiques, if you want to make sure you get your critiques in. But I think, you want to have at least 4 before the midterm. And I think most people are kind of on track with that. And I hope you've been checking the grades to make sure I don't forget recording anything. Okay. All right, toodaloo, guys. You're awfully quiet.
All right. It's early. Need coffee. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.